What happens when a man saves a drowning puppy, only to discover it's not just an ordinary dog? Unseen forces begin to stir, an ancient curse is awakened, and the town is on the brink of destruction. Can Ethan and his unlikely ally, Marcus, protect the puppy, or will the power they unleash be their undoing? Get ready for a heart-pounding journey, full of twists, betrayal, and the ultimate sacrifice. Want to know what happens next? Hit that subscribe button now. You won't want to miss the shocking conclusion. The sun was beginning to set over the quiet lakeside town, where Ethan, a local fisherman, spent most of his afternoons by the water. As usual, he had his fishing rod in hand, ready for a relaxing evening. However, the serene silence was soon broken by a faint whimper that seemed to come from the other side of the lake. Curiosity piqued, he turned and scanned the shore. In the distance, he noticed something struggling in the water, a small, dark figure thrashing around. Ethan's heart raced as he realized what it was. A puppy, a German shepherd, caught in the currents of the lake. Panic surged through him, and without a second thought, he dropped his fishing rod and sprinted toward the water. The puppy was weak, its tiny body barely keeping afloat as it gasped for air. Ethan knew he had to act quickly. Ethan waded into the cold water, his legs sinking into the mud as he pushed forward. The puppy's terrified eyes met his, and it seemed to give one last cry for help before it sank lower into the water. With a final, determined push, Ethan reached the puppy, scooping it into his arms. He could feel its frail body trembling against his chest as he swam back to the shore. Heart racing, Ethan collapsed onto the soft grass, cradling the trembling puppy in his arms. He quickly checked its condition, relieved to find that it was still breathing. The puppy's fur was wet, but there were no visible signs of injury. Ethan wrapped the small creature in his jacket, trying to warm it up as he reassured it in a soft voice. His heart swelled with a sense of relief, but he couldn't shake the feeling that something was off. As Ethan sat with the puppy, a shadow approached him from behind. Startled, he turned around to see a tall man standing there, his expression unreadable. The man was dressed in dark, weathered clothes, and his eyes were fixed on the puppy. Ethan's protective instincts flared, but the stranger simply spoke. "Is it all right?" The man introduced himself as Marcus, a drifter passing through the town. He seemed genuinely concerned about the puppy's well-being. Ethan, still wary, but grateful for the help, nodded. Together, they checked over the dog for any signs of injury. As the puppy began to relax in their care, a strange connection formed between the two men. Neither of them could quite explain it, but there was an unspoken understanding that this event was no mere coincidence. Later that evening, after the puppy had been fed and seemed to be recovering, Ethan returned to his small cabin, planning to take the puppy to a vet in the morning. But as he tried to settle down, he noticed something unsettling. The puppy's eyes seemed to glow faintly in the dark. At first, he thought it was just the light reflecting off its pupils, but the glow persisted. Ethan shook his head, unsure of what to make of it. Ethan couldn't shake the strange feeling that had come over him. As he lay awake, he heard the soft rustling sounds of the puppy in the corner of his room. He glanced over and saw it pacing, its eyes still glowing. When he called out to it, the puppy froze and stared at him with an intensity that sent a chill down his spine. Then, just as suddenly as it had begun, the puppy stopped, curled up, and fell asleep again. The following morning, Ethan awoke to an eerie silence. He stretched and yawned, but his eyes immediately went to the corner where the puppy had been sleeping. To his shock, the bed was empty. Panicking, he rushed through the house, calling for the puppy. After a frantic search, he found it outside, standing still by the edge of the lake. The puppy was staring at the water with a strange intensity, as if waiting for something to happen. Ethan knelt down beside the puppy, trying to comfort it. As his hand touched its fur, a strange sensation washed over him. It felt as though the puppy was not entirely present, as if something otherworldly was influencing its behavior. Suddenly, the puppy let out a low growl and darted into the woods, vanishing from sight. Ethan was left standing there, confused and uneasy. Something had changed overnight, and he couldn't explain it. The following chapters will further explore Ethan's struggle with the mysterious nature of the puppy, its supernatural traits, and how Marcus, the stranger, seems to be entwined in the puppy's strange abilities. As Ethan uncovers hidden truths, he discovers that the puppy might be more than just a rescued animal. It could be the key to something far more dangerous and unknown. As the chapters unfold, the bond between Ethan, the puppy, and Marcus grows deeper, revealing secrets that were meant to stay buried. As the days passed, Ethan couldn't shake the unsettling feeling that the puppy was more than just an ordinary dog. Its behavior had grown increasingly strange. It no longer acted like a typical puppy, but rather seemed to possess an intelligence and awareness far beyond its age. Ethan decided to take it to the local vet, hoping for a medical explanation. But when the vet examined the puppy, he found nothing physically wrong, no signs of trauma or illness. The vet's words only deepened Ethan's confusion. There's something different about this animal. That night, as Ethan sat alone in his cabin, the sound of scratching at the door jolted him from his thoughts. When he opened it, there was no one there. However, the puppy was acting strangely again, barking at the woods with an intensity Ethan had never seen before. He followed its gaze and thought he saw a shadow flicker between the trees. His heart raced as he slammed the door shut, unsure whether it was his imagination or something more sinister at play. Ethan decided to investigate the strange occurrences further. While cleaning out his cabin, he came across an old journal that had been left by the previous owner. It was filled with cryptic entries about a mysterious creature that had once lived in the woods, an ancient guardian that could take the form of animals, especially dogs. The journal spoke of a prophecy involving a young pup that would rise from the water, bringing both destruction and salvation. Ethan was stunned. Was this prophecy about the puppy? After reading the journal, Ethan sought out Marcus, who had been unusually quiet ever since the rescue. Marcus had a troubled look in his eyes when Ethan showed him the journal, but he didn't seem entirely surprised. "I've heard stories," Marcus confessed. "Stories about the Guardian. Some believe it's a curse, others think it's a blessing, but no one really knows the truth." Ethan was now more determined than ever to uncover the secrets surrounding the puppy. Late one evening, while Ethan and Marcus were walking through the woods near the lake, the puppy suddenly became agitated. Without warning, it bolted toward the trees, barking frantically. Then, a figure emerged from the darkness, an enormous wolf-like creature, its eyes glowing eerily. The puppy growled fiercely, standing protectively in front of Ethan and Marcus. The air was thick with tension, and the wolf seemed to hesitate, as though unsure whether to attack. Then, in an instant, it vanished back into the forest, leaving the trio shaken. Ethan's mind raced with questions. What was the wolf? Was it a guardian as well? And what role did the puppy play in this unfolding mystery? Marcus, visibly disturbed by the encounter, explained, "The wolf is a protector of sorts, but it's not entirely good. It tests those who come into contact with the puppy. Only those who prove themselves worthy can unlock the full potential of the Guardian." Ethan felt a chill as the weight of the prophecy began to settle in. The more Ethan learned, the more dangerous the situation became. He realized that the puppy had powers that neither he nor Marcus fully understood. Late one night, as a storm raged outside, the puppy's eyes once again began to glow, but this time it was different. The glow seemed to pulse, and the air around them crackled with energy. Ethan reached out to touch the puppy, but as his hand made contact, he was overwhelmed by a vision: an ancient temple beneath the lake, a place where unimaginable power was kept hidden. The vision was brief, but it left Ethan shaken. He knew he had to uncover the truth about the lake and its connection to the puppy's power. He and Marcus spent the following days investigating the shoreline, looking for any clues that might explain what was hidden beneath the waters. At the edge of the lake, they discovered an old, half-sunken stone structure, its entrance hidden by weeds and rocks. Something about it felt ancient, and Ethan could feel the weight of history pressing down on him as they explored the submerged ruins. The puppy's behavior grew more erratic. It barked furiously, and its eyes glowed with an intensity that unnerved both men. Suddenly, the air around them grew heavy, and the temperature dropped. A dark figure emerged from the depths of the water, an ancient spirit that had been trapped for centuries. It spoke in a voice that sent shivers down their spines. "You have awakened me, and now the world will pay the price." The spirit, bound by an ancient curse, revealed that the puppy was not just a guardian but a key that could either lock the spirit away forever or unleash it upon the world. Ethan realized that the puppy's true purpose was far greater than he could have imagined. With the spirit now awakened, the stakes were higher than ever. He knew he had to make a choice, either protect the puppy and keep the spirit trapped, or risk everything to stop the power from consuming them all. As the chapters progress, the plot will continue to unfold with twists and turns. Ethan will struggle with moral dilemmas, and Marcus's true intentions will be revealed. The spirit's influence will grow stronger, and the true origin of the puppy's abilities will come into focus. Ethan will have to make impossible decisions that will determine not just his fate, but the fate of everyone he loves. Ethan stood frozen in front of the ancient spirit, the weight of its words crashing down on him. The puppy, trembling in his arms, seemed to be aware of the power surrounding them. The spirit taunted them, reminding them of the consequences of their choices. Ethan could feel the power of the lake, the spirit's presence growing stronger with every passing moment. He knew that to keep the spirit sealed away, he would need to sacrifice something dear. The bond between him and the puppy was unspoken, but it was undeniable. Was he willing to let go of the animal he had saved for the greater good? As the tension mounted, Marcus revealed a truth that left Ethan reeling. Marcus wasn't just a drifter. He had known about the ancient curse for years. His family had once been the guardians of the temple, entrusted with watching over the secrets of the lake. But the power was too much for his ancestors to handle, and Marcus had been sent to find the Keitha puppy. His role, he confessed, was to guide Ethan and ensure the puppy's power was harnessed correctly. The revelation shook Ethan to his core, and he struggled with whether he could trust Marcus or if he was simply being used. Ethan's trust in Marcus began to waver as the full scope of the situation dawned on him. The spirit had been whispering to them, attempting to influence their decisions. The puppy's strange behavior seemed to grow more erratic with every passing day, and it became clear that it was struggling against the spirit's pull. Ethan found himself questioning whether Marcus's intentions were truly aligned with his own, or if there was a deeper agenda at play. In a desperate attempt to sway Ethan, the spirit offered a deal. If Ethan were to relinquish the puppy, the spirit promised to spare him, Marcus, and the town from its wrath. The price, however, would be steep. The entire town would fall into eternal darkness, a curse that would leave the people trapped in an endless cycle of despair. Ethan was torn. The town had always been his home, and he couldn't bear the thought of condemning the people he cared about. But could he truly trust the spirit's promise? Was there any way to break the curse without sacrificing everything? After days of contemplation, Ethan made his choice. With a heavy heart, he walked to the temple beneath the lake, the puppy at his side. The dark presence loomed around them, but Ethan was resolute. He understood now that the true power wasn't in the puppy itself, but in the strength of his own will. He would not let the spirit control him or the fate of the town. As he stood before the ancient altar, Ethan made a vow to protect the puppy and seal the spirit away forever. even if it meant facing the consequences. With the final chant of an ancient incantation, the ground shook violently, and the water receded. The spirit's roar echoed through the air, but as the last words left Ethan's lips, the lake calmed, the darkness lifted, and peace returned.